What's up, Buffalo Nation? Today we've got a lot to cover. Several great news stories, so let's make like sushi and get rolling.
So I'm happy with what I see for the future. I really am. I know we got our butts kicked. We lost today, but I'm happy with what I see in the future.
Our main story today is about something epic that Coach Prime admitted after the UCLA game. Now, if you watch that game, you know how frustrating it was. And that frustration boiled over to afterwards. So grab some gummy bears, sit back, and get ready because this is the prime time for college football. Our first story today, we're going to talk about what Coach Prime admitted following Colorado's brutal loss to UCLA. But before we get to what he said, it's important that you guys understand what led up to it. Coach Prime was very frustrated with his offensive line after the game. Let's listen.
Offensively, we got to improve. You see that. Quarterback is taking his beating. He got an injection at halftime. Probably shouldn't tell you that, but you know I'm 100. And just to block some of the pain, so I'm going to give him the next few days off so he could at least be mobile, because I know once that block is off, he's going to feel it tonight. We got to do a better job of protecting him running the football. I know we had a couple linemen go down, but there's no excuse. It's got to be next man up. So we got to have enough depth to be able to accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish.
So obviously, we all know that Shedeur is taking a beating during these games, and we absolutely agree. The offensive line isn't getting the job done. But before we get to his epic mic drop, Coach Prime went on to talk about the O-line depth problems. Let's listen to that.
Depth, not only depth, killer instinct, want, desire, will, athleticism. The hardest thing to acquire is linemen. So when people have a good one, you rarely see linemen jump and go to different schools. I think we have some guys that it's going to be good with a little seasoning. But overall, we just don't have the fight or the passion to do what we want to do.
Coach Prime is absolutely correct about the offensive lineman being the hardest thing to acquire, whether that through recruiting or the portal. It takes great coaches years to build up their offensive line depth. But what came next shocked us. And when a reporter asked, big picture, what would Colorado have to do to protect Shedeur? Coach Prime, which he never does, pulled zero punches with his answer. Listen in.
Shedeur upright, healthy.
The big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture, and I'm going to paint it perfectly.
Coach Prime clearly dropped the battle axe here. He knows he has a few good players on the offensive line, a few players who will become great in time. But overall, the problems with this offensive line unit isn't just a lack of development. It's much more to do with the quality of the player at the position. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Boulder, Colorado. I know there's a lot of you out there who are millionaires. Some of you who are billionaires who support Coach Prime in this Colorado team. In order to fix this quickly, we need you guys to pull out your wallets. Colorado needs around $40 million per year exclusively for NIL for the best offensive and defensive lines. Coach Prime's goal should be to raise about $2 million a player for the 10 best offensive linemen available, and his goal should be to raise about $2 million a player for the best 10 defensive linemen available. So that's $40 million a year just for the trenches. And I guarantee you that $40 million a year will pay for itself in spades. Go take a look at what Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan's linemen look like and see what their on-the-field product is. Colorado has the skill guys. You've seen what our guys have done out on both offensive and defensive sides of the ball. Where we're lacking right now is the trenches, and that has to be upgraded. But you know how else that pays for itself? Investment back into the local economy. Listen, if you're a business in the Colorado, the Boulder area, and you can benefit this team, it's going to come back to you tenfold. Look at the money that Colorado and Boulder has made just from this team being nationally relevant. Next up, we're going to talk about the trash Pac-12 refs who decided to ruin this game in the first half. And of course, we're talking about the targeting call on Shilo Sanders that led to him being ejected. Coach Prime had several things to say about this after the game. Let's take a listen.
Key mistakes. Once Shiloh went out, he's one of the main communicators on the back end. That was a tremendous blow for us because he's one of the leaders on the backside of the defense, and he's the enforcer. He's the dog back there, and I don't complain about official calls, but because those guys have the toughest job in the country to me, because the game is going so fast and they have to make a call even though they have a opportunity for instant replay. But the catch on the sideline and the targeting for Shiloh, I'm still questioning those things. But if it is what it is, I think they had a tremendous bearing on the outcome of the game, because when you lose a safety of that caliber, who's the quarterback of the defense, that's a tremendous blow. And that play on the sideline, I think it was a third down, would have been off the field.
So Coach Prime said he wasn't about to complain about the officials, but that's okay. That's why we're here. The Pac-12 refs suck, and their interpretation of these rules is absolutely abysmal. Shiloh clearly led with his shoulder where 99% of the energy was transferred. The helmets brushing together was clearly a secondary reaction, something that was unavoidable due to the angle. And you've got to use some common sense on these plays. Coach Prime went on to say this about the ejection.
There's no question. I believe that he was not in fault because he turned his shoulder all the way around. He always does. He knows how to hit. And I told him I'm proud of it. He was having a heck of a game. He was being dominant on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm as proud of him. I'm sorry this transpired, but I'm proud of his effort.
Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler watched the replay and doubled down in support of this stupid call. These guys were embarrassing for ESPN. Anyone who knows football knows how trash that call was. This would not be a penalty in the SEC and would certainly not be a penalty in the NFL. And that's why those leagues are dominating. And that's why the Pac-12 is falling apart. There was nothing wrong with this hit, and if the rule book doesn't convey that, the rules need to be fixed. It was very clear that Shiloh led with his shoulder, and the receiver turned into the helmet. It was frustrating to see. I love Shiloh flexing after the play. It was a great hit. And there's absolutely no way that a kid should be ejected for that. Very quickly, if you're enjoying our content, if you like our videos, if you enjoy watching along with us, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We've seen the channel grow to heights that we did not expect this year. And win, loss, or draw, we're going to continue to be here with you. So if you would do us that small favor, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're not making you buy anything. But hit that subscribe button for us. We certainly would appreciate it. Next, we're going to talk about a funny trap that someone in the media laid for Coach Prime. The moment came when someone asked Coach Prime how he felt a coach was doing. Listen to what he said back.
What have you thought about Sean's performance so far?
You can't put me on the spot like that. I think the coaches are doing a pretty good job. Thank you. That was a great try. Valued effort. You got to understand, I've sat in your seat for like 17, 18 years. So I gotta know when it's coming.
Now, this one had me cracking up. They are going to keep trying, and you better believe that they're going to keep failing. Coach Prime is not one that's going to throw his coaches under the bus, regardless of how hard the media tries to get him to do something. Coach Prime's no dummy, right? He knows where deficiencies are. He knows where he needs to improve, whether that be on the coaching staff, the entire staff in general, off-field analysts or assistants, or his roster. He knows what needs to be done to make this program a winner. But he's not going to throw guys under the bus in a press conference to do so. He's going to handle things like a man, handle things with class, and then in the offseason, when changes need to be made, he'll do them. But throwing guys under the bus is certainly not something you should ever expect Coach Prime to do, and he will swat these reporters away as they continue to ask it week after week. Last up today, finally, we're going to talk about Travis Hunter's play during the game. Coach Prime had a lot of great things to say about Travis. Listen to this.
Describe Travis's performance.
Travis is Travis. I keep telling you that. He's the one kid, not the one, it's multiple kids I don't concern myself about their play and their attitude. Travis is going to bounce back. I knew he was going to bounce back. You know, he was coming off an injury, and he was taking the offensive side of the ball a lot more serious than he was taking the defensive side of the ball when he first came back. And he just had to, reset because he didn't go home on the break. He stayed, worked out, trained, and got his feet up under him and watched film intently and studied the little things. So he was prepared and ready today, and he gave you a Travis Hunter performance.
So Travis had put in some serious time studying for UCLA, and it paid off in spades. He had a dominant game against them, logging 2 interceptions, and those were both game-changing plays. Let me just tell you, that first interception where he jams the wide receiver and then somehow gets off of the man that he's covering to get over to the underneath route and fall down. As athletic as he fell down and still got up to make the interception. That's one of the greatest interceptions I've ever seen. First of all, it was not even his guy, and he still got in front of the pass to make the pick. Phenomenal. I liked the way they played him more on defense. They let him have a little bit more rest on offense. To be honest with you, I've been saying that I thought that would make some sense because I think you've got so much talent out there at wideout. Now, if coach wants him to play a ton on offense too, and he wants to play a ton on offense, I'm all for it. I'm not going to question that. But I do think you saw how effective he could be as a defender when he was more rested, when he was fresher, and when he was really, really putting in the work on that defensive side of the ball. The offensive line struggled so much that I don't know that having him out there for every single offensive play would have mattered much anyway. It would have been pretty tough to get him the ball because the offensive line was struggling so bad to give Shedeur any time to throw. I thought playing him on defense was the smart move. It worked out very well for Coach Prime. And if Colorado could have scored just a little bit more in this game, I thought your defense did enough to keep you in it. Now, Travis was phenomenal, and he played like an absolute superstar. So much criticism on him after that Stanford game, but he was great this weekend. And if they can get another performance or two out of him like that down the stretch, they'll have a chance to pull an upset or two, find themselves in a bowl game, and get to that 6-win mark. We're going to continue covering it, and we're not going anywhere. We appreciate you guys. We love you, and thank you for the support that you give us, Coach Prime, this channel, and the team. We'll talk with you guys soon. Thank you guys, as always, for watching the Prime Time for College Football.